I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 8 English lesson on Greek and Latin roots. So, we're doing our grade 8 English lesson on Greek and Latin roots. And before we start our lesson on Greek and Latin roots, we are going to log into aplusstudents.ca. We're going to log in with our username as well as our password. Once you've logged on with your username and password, you're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 8, and then you're going to scroll down up until you get to the chapter of Greek and Latin roots. All right, so our chapter is Greek and Latin roots. Our subject is English language arts, grade 8. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of Greek and Latin roots is to determine the meanings of Greek and Latin roots and to determine the meanings of words with Greek and Latin roots. And this is a continuation of the lesson that we also did previously, right? Because in our previous lesson, we also did Greek and Latin roots. So now we're going to just have a continuation of where we ended off. So once again, our lessons is to determine the meanings of Greek and Latin roots and to determine the meanings of words with Greek and Latin roots. All right, so now we are by Greek and Latin roots, right? A root, it is a part of a word that has a certain meaning, right? So a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. And words that share the same root, they often have similar meanings that are related to the meaning of a root, right? So once again, a root is a part of a word. So it's a part of a word that has a certain meaning. And words that share the same root, they often have similar meanings that are related to the meaning of the root. For example, the root bell, right? So the root bell, it means war. So bell means war. So now we're going to basically show how this root is basically a part of certain words, right? So a rebel is a person who rises up in an armed opposition to the government. So here we have our first one, which is rebel. And there we have the word bell in rebel, right? And a rebel is a person who rises up in armed opposition to the government, right? It's like the person is either disobedient, the person is It's almost like you're unlawful, right? And then we have belligerence. Belligerence, like it is the tendency to seek out or engage in conflict and hostility, right? So which means that it is you're constantly either seeking conflict or hostility, right? There's always constant fights, arguments. It's like you're constantly seeking that. It's like that you have the tendency of constantly seeking that. And there we also have the word bell in it, right? And then in the United States, the antebellum era refers to the period before the Civil War. So the antebellum era refers to the period before the Civil War, which means that the rise up to the Civil War, right, there was also some form of conflict, right? Because remember, before any war, there's like a pre-war, right? Conflict starts before an actual war. So basic all of these meanings they relate to the concept of war. And basically a root word or root is a part of the word that has a certain meaning, right? And in this case, the examples that we made, we specifically made an example of the root word, which is bal, and bal meaning war, right? And then we made mention of certain words with the root word that was a part of like of the word. And there we spoke about rebel, bal is in rebel. Belligerence, bal is in belligerence. And then we have also antebellum, right? There we have bellum or bell within that word. So all of these words are meaning or related to the concept of war. So we use the knowledge of the root word, right? Or the root. So we use, oh, I do that. So we can use the knowledge of roots to figure out the meaning of the words that you haven't seen before. For example, the root word which is ben or bena, right? It means good. So bena means good, right? That is why we have words like, for example, either benefit, because benefit means it's something good that you're going to be getting or receiving, right? So the word bena or the root bena, it means good. Then we have the root fek, which means do or make. And if we basically put that two together, right, it says a benefactor. It is a person who helps others by contributing money or aid. So basically we have the root which is bena, which means good, and we also have the root which is fact, which means do or make, and we put that together, right? And then we get the word benefactor. And a benefactor is a person who helps others by contributing money or aid. So we can even say he or she does good for others, and that is a benefactor. All right, so we see that a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning, and the words that share the same root, they often have similar meanings that are related to the meanings of the roots. And then we made a few example. We made an example of bell, and we also made an example of bena as well as fac. All right, so we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. And we're going to the third lesson, which is to determine the meaning of Greek and Latin roots. And we made an example of rebel, which is bell, right? And we said rebel or bell means wool. And then we broke down certain words. Okay, so now what does the root bena mean? Bena. So bena, right? It says, what does the root bena mean? We made mention of bena, and we made mention of fact, and we mentioned of benefactor, right? So if benefactor is something to do with good, and then we're going to say bena, it means good. So bena means good. So we see that the root bena, it means good, right? Look at the word cred. We need to say what the word cred means. So if we look at the word create and we think of a certain word that we can make with that root word, like for example, credible, right? Um, credentials, right? Those are all words with the root word, which is cred. And the root word cred, it means to trust or believe. So the root word cred, it means to trust. So cred, it basically means to trust and believe. So trust and to believe. That is what cred means. Trust and believe, or trust or believe, either or. So we said that trust or believe is basically cred, right? So which means that if they ask us what the root word means, then we can either say trust or believe, or they can ask what trust and believe means, and we can say cred. So when it comes to, for example, our Latin root words, right? It's the same almost like saying we have our prefixes and our suffixes, right? But it's just that the root word is, it's similar, right? It's like knowing what the root word is, or knowing what the abbreviated word is, um, in order for us to know the meaning, right? So if you know the meaning of that word, it will be easier to let's say have it within a specific word, right? Because remember we said a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. All right, so now we're going to our test. So now, which root means one half? One half. Is semi one half? Is cent a half? Or core a half? So now core looks almost like core cents or quarter or something. So semi, is that a half? Cent, is that a half? Or core, is that one half? All right, so if we look at the specific word, it says which root means one half, then we can say semi means one half, right? And that is correct. Which root means shape? Is it tract? Is it wrapped? Is it morph or flex? So which root means shape? Is it tract? Is it wrapped, morph, or is it flex? All right, so if we look at what the root means, right, it says which root means shape. And then we're going to say it is, let's use the word tract. I'm not even sure. Oh, it is morph. Morph gave us a different word actually. All right, so which root means heat? Heat. So heat. So which root gives tells us or means heat? Is it bio, geo, therm, or hydro? That means heat. Is it bio? Is it geo? Is it therm? Or is it hydro? All right, so if we find the root, it says which root means heat, right? Is it bio, geo, therm, or hydro, right? Then heat, hydro is something to do with almost like like a type of power plant, like a hydroelectric power plant. And then we have therm, right? Which is to do with a gas supplied, right? So we can then say that heat, I guess it means therm, because gas, heat, and therm is correct. So now we need to say which root means trust or believe. Is it jur? Is it dict, bena, or is it cred? That means trust or believe. Is it jur, dict, bena, or cred? That means trust or believe. So we need to see which root means trust or believe. Is it jur, like almost like short for jury, jurisdiction? Is it dict or dictate, dictation? Bene, benefactor, benefit, or credible, credible, yeah. So we can then say cred is to trust or believe. So cred is to trust or believe. It's like a credible thing, right? It's like more like it's a trustworthy thing. It's a credible document. So which root means time? So the root that means time. Is it paleo, cron, min, or teller? That means time. So is it paleo, cron, min, or teller? That means time. And if we select the root that means time, then we can say cron means time. So cron means time. And that is correct because cron means time. All right, so now we're going on to the last one that says determine the meaning of the words with Greek and Latin roots, right? And we said a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. So we said a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. And as we notice, there's like a lot of, let's say, Greek and Latin root words, right? And these Latin and root words, in order for you to know the meaning of certain things or to know the meaning of certain words, right? It means that you ought to know then the meaning of what the specific root word means. So if we look at this word, it says, what does the word melody mean? Is it melody or melody? So we need to say what that word melody or melody means. Melody. And if we look at the word melody, right, then melody means almost like it's almost like an illness, a disease, right? Or an ailment that someone has. But definitely melody, it means that the person has a serious problem or illness or disease, right? So what does the word accreditation means? Accreditation means. So what does the word accreditation means? Firstly, cred means to trust or believe. So cred means to trust or believe. So accreditation then means and we see the accreditation, it means it's an official recognition of quality, right? And that is why we're saying it's either trust, cred means to trust or believe, right? Which means that it's an official recognition of quality, somebody that is, or something that can be trustworthy, right? And that is what accreditation means. And now, what does the meaning of the word dispensary mean? Dispensary, and that is basically a word that you will find usually when you either go to a pharmacy. So, dispensary, we need to say what's the meaning of dispensary. So, dispensary, right? If we look at the meaning of the word dispensary, then dispensary, it is basically a place where medicine is prepared and sold, right? So they usually keep the different medications where the, like, let's say in the dispensary, either at the pharmacy, clinic, or hospital. So it's a place where medicine is either prepared or it is sold. All right, so now we're going to our test. We need to say what the word incredulous mean. Incredulous. So what does the word incredulous mean? Is it unwilling to do harm to others? Or unwilling to accept something as true? Or is it unwilling to give something away? Incredulous, right? Or is it unwilling to engage in hostility? So incredulous, what does it mean? Is it willing or unwilling, sorry, to do harm to others? Unwilling to accept something as true? Unwilling to give something away, or unwilling to engage in hostility? So incredulous, right? We need to say if it means unwilling to do harm to others, unwilling to accept something as true, unwilling to give something away, or unwilling to engage in hostility. And if we select the correct answer of in or the meaning of incredulous, then we can say it is unwilling to accept something as true. It's like we don't want to believe something. And that is correct. All right. So, what does the word aggregation mean? Aggregation. So, what does the word aggregation mean? Is it a law regulating the distribution of goods? Is it a dangerous or hostile environment? Or an ordering of events, a collection of different things? Aggregation. So, aggregation, we need to say what aggregation is. So, is it the law of regulating or distributing of goods, a dangerous or hostile environment, ordering of events, or a collection of different things? So, when it comes to aggregation, we can say it is a collection of different things, right? So, it's a collection of different things. It's like where you, um, different things, almost like in the form of like a sum or a lump sum or like amounts. That is aggregation. So, what does the word chronic means? Chronic. Is it happening frequently or for a long duration, or happening in an official or formal way, happening in a way that is difficult to believe, or happening in a vexing or distributing way? Chronic. So we need to find out what chronic means. So we need to say what chronic means. Is it happening frequently or for a long duration? Is it happening in an official or formal way? Happening in a way that is difficult to believe? Or is it happening in a vexing or distributing way? All right, so if we were to say what chronic means, right? Because chronic, it's basically it's something to do with an illness. No, it's not an illness, but it's to do with an illness. So then it means that it is maybe something that you have for, it's like a frequent for long duration. Malady, right? What does the word malady mean? Is it a debate? Is it an illness? A pleasant feeling? Or is it an insignificant issue? So malady, is it a debate, an illness, a pleasant feeling, or is it an significant issue? And if we were to select the meaning of the word malady, because we did it earlier on, also we can say it is to do with an illness or a disease. All right, last one. We need to say what the word edict means. The word edict. Is it an order issued by a person with authority? A process for designing and creating a product for sale? So edict, is it an order issued by a person with authority? A process for designing and creating a product for sale? Or a good deed done by a well-intentioned person? Or is it an amount of money charged for a regular service? This is now the word edict. All right, and if we were to select the meaning of the word edict, right, then we can say it is an order issued by a person with authority. So we can say edict is an order issued by a person with authority. So that is edict. All right, so we basically said that a root word, it is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. And words that share the same root, they often have similar meanings that are related to the meanings of a root. So this is now the end of our lesson, grade 8 on Greek and Latin roots. Thank you for joining the class, and I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.